I was sick of dealing with shop vacs and their clog filters and all that comes with them. It really slowed down my workflow. So I had to do some research, and I knew there was a better way, and I came up with 5 ways that actually improved and transformed the way that I do dust collection in my small workshop. This is the #1 reason why you should upgrade your shop vacs in your workshop to a multi-stage dust collection system. It's this right here, the standard pleated filter that our shop vacs use. They work great, but when we're dealing with that fine woodworking sawdust, it just sucks in there, gets caked on, suction loss goes down, then we have to clean them out, deal with all that, bring it outside, blow it out, whatever your method is. And over time, we have to do this constantly. Do another project, it's clogged again. We have a better solution for this. I chose the Dustopper Pro. It was readily available. It was available at Home Depot. I was able to go get it, come back, continue my project. And it was, they were all about $60, and it fits right onto a bucket. You just put it on there, clip it on, and you go. It came with 2 accessory elbows that you can use to help direct where you want the pipes to go, and about a 3-foot piece of shop vac hose. So the Dustopper Pro is one of the Cyclone separators. What it does, if you don't know about them, is that the air and the chips and the sawdust all come inside here into the inlet, and then they swirl around in the top section of here. And what happens is that there's a groove here, and the heavy particulates and pieces will fall down. About 99% of it will go into the bucket. And then the clean air, or the rest of the air with the really fine stuff, will end up going back to the shop through the pipe. They work really well in separating and protecting. So let's connect these together again. So we've just clipped that onto there. One little thing that I noticed with these, little tip, these come loose over time, and see how that's like a little loose? Just take a piece of black electrical tape and run it right along the seam there, and it kind of keeps it like glued together. It probably actually seals it a little bit better too. So obviously this setup works. We need to have an inlet. So this is just the standard shop vac hose that came with it. And that'll go in here. The air is coming up through the top, and when it's sucking, it's going through here, but everything that comes through here is now going in there, spiraling around, and ending up mostly in here. And just a little bit is coming back into here. All right, let's check out the Dustopper Pro in action now. So this is a pile of sawdust. It's a good size, probably about 5 or 6 inches high by 16 inches. This was about halfway through this bucket of all the stuff I'd sucked up. And we're gonna use that to see how the Cyclone, and see how much goes into the bucket, and see how much goes into our shop vac. We cleaned it out. Just has the empty cavity in there with the filter. Got my hose, and let's see what happens. I don't know if you can see in the video, it's spiraling around or swirling, cycloning. This is just showing you a generalization of how this works, of separating the stuff. So, a little bit in the top there, not too bad. But of all that, look at how much got in there. That looks like almost all of it. Huh. Come see. All right. I mean, it looks like just little fine, ultra fine sawdust in there. A little bit in the bottom, a little bit on the pleats, but man, almost all of it is in there. So I would say 99% is pretty accurate. 90 something, definitely 99. Well, that was kind of a no-brainer. If any of these steps that you go through, this is the one that I recommend. It's easy to empty this out. Like, I can just take this outside or into a trash bag or something like that. It's easy instead of lugging this huge thing, trying to figure it out, take it off. It's so much easier. So let's get on to the next one. All right, now we've collected 99% of the big sawdust pieces and debris in the bucket. We saw a little bit fraction in here. We need to capture that. And the best way to do that is to just get one of the bags that they have for these. Now, I know what you're thinking, they're expensive, they fill up quick, but if you think about how much we were actually capturing over here, the amount that goes in here, it's very minimal. You know, this is one of the rigid bags. You know, each manufacturer is going to have their own system. So just look up your model number and check for whatever bag it is. And then you can also find knockoff ones that are cheaper on Amazon. They're totally fine for this application. Like I would say, I think some of the ones that I saw were around $1 to $2 when you buy like a multi-pack. So check those out for your individual use. So this goes in, it's actually pretty big. You know, look how big this is. That's gonna hold a lot of that fine sawdust. So there's an inlet here. It just sits on the front side of the, goes over this, and then clips on, and then kind of sits on the sides like this. And that's it. Like that's super easy. That's like 20 seconds to install. So I'll bring you closer so you can kind of see what it looks like inside. All right, here's a close-up view of that bag installed. You can see here, I'll take it off really quick. It just has this cardboard piece that fits over with like a rubber gasket to try to keep that sawdust in. Probably not perfect, but it does a good job. And that's it, simple as that. The filter will kind of go down in the center here when we put the top back on. All right, now that we've got the bag installed, remember this is actually a filter as well. It's not just collecting all that fine sawdust, it's actually filtering the air as it gets sucked in from the shop vacs filter as well. So we had 1 stage, 2 stage, and now the 3rd stage. I don't know if you saw before, but I had upgraded my rigid one to the fine particulates one. So I said for a few bucks more, I think the cheaper ones are like $23, the like regular ones. This was about $30 or $28, I can't remember exactly right now at time of filming. So this is a great upgrade. So now we'll have 1, 2, 3, and then this is actually gonna help with the air that actually goes back into the workshop. So there'll be less of that fine sawdust going into the air, which is the really stuff that causes the problem. And this just goes in to that section there, no problems. Close it up, and now we're good to go. So let's get on to the next step. All right, now that we've solved the collection part of it, now we need to figure out an upgrade to the way that we suck in the tubes that actually come with it. So this is the one that came with the rigid. It's just big and bulky and thick, and it's hard to work with. And it's not that long either. I don't know what it is, 6 foot maybe, a little bit longer. So I'll get rid of this one. This one I got from Rigid. So this is their car detailing kit. It comes with this one. This one's, you know, much longer. I don't know how big it is. I can't remember. I'll leave just links down in the description to these things. But this one is, it's smaller, but it's so much easier and flexible, and it's got like this crush proof, like, you know, it's good. It's perfect for the workshop. And actually I bought it originally for car cleaning, just cleaning out our cars and stuff like that for vacuuming. But then I found this would be great in the workshop, and then so I just adopted using this one, and I haven't gone back ever since. So this has the same connector. It's got the 2.5, I believe, or 2-inch connector on this side. So that still goes into the Dustopper part there, and then I have the flexibility and, you know, wrangling a snake here. And then this on the end part here is like it twists, so as you need to, it adjusts and stuff like that. So that part, and it also in the kit came with a bunch of accessories, so like different types of brushes. This is a stiff brush. These have been used, but you can see this is a softer one. I end up using this one a lot on, like, you know, cleaning up the workbench and stuff like that. Comes with adapters, so you can connect different things together, reducers. And then these 2 accessories for like a crevice tool. So that's definitely good for a car, get in those areas, but also in the shop, you end up, you know, getting into places and stuff like that. This is a good one for cleaning up the floor, or on, you know, a lot of cleanup on the table really quickly. I like that one's got a nice angle, so I can show you. So you can see it twists, but the hose doesn't need to twist. So you can kind of move nicely with it. So this has worked out really good. This is my default shop vac hose that we have for this setup. And then what I ended up doing was I also bought the Rockler, it's the Dust Right Quick Connect system. This is like a really cool setup. So this is like a expandable hose. So you can see it like expands. So it's like 3 feet small when it's not expanded, and it goes up to 12 feet, which is crazy that you think this is 12 foot. This is the Dust Right FlexiPort quick connect system. And you can see each of my tools here, as I said before. This is my sander, my track saw, and palm router. Each has its own little boot quick connect thing. So all you have to do is that this part is the same, but the different ones, we'll get back to that type here. These ones go into it, but all you do is click it in, and you just click it in, and that's it. And then when you want to go to the next tool, you undo it, you go to the next tool, boom. I don't think anybody's going that quick, but if you are working a couple tools at one time and you only have one shop vac, this works great for me. And then, you know, if you want to go to the next one, you go to that one. So this one here, I'll show you this one. And these stay on the tools, they don't come off. So I leave them on all the time. This one's an inside one where it goes in, and on this track saw, it can kind of rotate and stuff like that. And you know, you just wedge it in there, which is nice. You can adjust it as you need to change the angle wherever you're cutting. This one here, this one's the same one as that on there. This one has a little clip on here. So this one, if I take it off, it's kind of like a clamp, I guess we'll call it. So you put it on, and they make a ton of different attachments. So if you had you know, these 3 came in the kit, I guess it's 3 that I said before, and then you can measure the diameter of your tool and find the piece, the individual piece that you want. I can't remember how much these were. I think it was maybe at the time it was about $50 for this, and then the attachments. It might come with another piece, I can't remember. But these are the ones that I use. So that one goes on there on the outside, and then this just has a little tightening clip and just kind of goes down, and that one's good to go. So definitely recommend this for multi-tool use when you have different types of ports. I probably won't go back to anything else at this point. So, well, the beauty of this system is that as your tool collection grows, like mine has over the years, you know, I started off with very small tools and added tools. Like I usually add a tool when I need to use it for a project. I can convince myself or tie it into the budget, things like that. I can't usually buy tools straight up, but all you have to do is invest in these little pieces. So these are relatively cheap. Once you've bought into the system, all you have to buy is one of these for each of the tools, and then you're good to go. Dust collection in a really small workshop, as you can maybe tell, is super important to me. Should be important to you as well. And I have a small shop that's only 14 by 16. It doesn't look very big, maybe, I don't know, from that angle, but it's small, and all that air is right around me. So I want to collect as much of this dust as possible, especially that fine stuff, and prevent it from going into my lungs. You know, using good PPE like a respirator when you're using these tools is super important, in addition to just collecting it. So try to stay safe, but let's get on to the next one, and we'll see how we can make this even better. All right, this next step is kind of obvious. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of accessories, a lot of hoses, a lot of tools. We now have a bucket, we've got all this stuff. How do we deal with all of this stuff? I guess we could throw it on our back and carry it around and drag it around and tip it over and stuff like that, have it on the floor, but that just seems crazy. So what we need to do is organize this into a nice cart. So I'm gonna show you our little cart system that gets everything in its place, works together, has a small form factor, and is made from scrap wood. That's kind of my big thing, is like reusing extra pieces of plywood or some wood that I have, or some pallet wood, or some upcycled thing that I had a different project for. You don't need to spend any extra money on this. It uses a small amount of plywood. All of it was scrap for me, and maybe some casters. We'll get into different types of casters that you could use for this. And let me bring you around so you can kind of see how this setup works. All right, this is our cart. So super simple, made from that scrap plywood that we had sticking around. It has a plywood base, some plywood risers. You can see it's probably about 6 inches. I'll go into detail. We'll bring it up onto the workbench and show you how you size it for your situation, some of the rough ideas to get to it. And then, you know, has a piece that goes over, a box that sits on the top, you know, a few inches. This is where the bucket goes into it. We'll show it, and then the hose kind of comes down to the shop vac. And then a little sidecar action, some accessories that we'll get into, and I'll show you how the casters are attached. So let's get it up on the workbench and go into details. Oh, hey, what's going on? We're up here on our shop vac cart, and let's get into the dimensions and check this out. All right, so as we said before, this has a platform base. Right now, ours is 20 1/4 on the inside. Obviously you want to measure your shop vac and figure out the dimensions that work for you, but I'm just giving you kind of the rough sizes of this. This is the more important one. This is about 18 and a half. You can probably get away with 16 inches here, depending on the base, but you want to have a good solid base. It's not going to like fall off. And there's a little bit of space I left on the side. You know, I take this in and out. I'll use this to clean the car sometimes. And the height on this one is about 25 and a quarter from the inside to inside, so plus another 3/4, so 26 for the total height, and plus another 3/4 for the side here. You can see these are screwed in here. This is pretty sturdy for what I'm doing in the workshop. I think it works totally fine. If you needed something a little more rigid, you could probably put a blocker in here, throw a couple more screws to make it a little more tight, but this is fine. The top box up here that the bucket sits in is 12 and a half by 11 and a half. I'll show you why. You know, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Okay. So it's just how we fix them, right? As woodworkers. So the bucket fits in here. This is the more important dimension. This is about 10 and a half by about 10 and a half or so. Measure your bucket, just double check at the bottom. You know, this box on the top here is only about a little over 3 inches, 3 1/4. And that's all that matters. What we do is we use a bungee cord, and I'll show you that when it's on the ground, how it kind of connects it, and it kind of sucks it in. It doesn't really like fall over. Otherwise it would kind of probably tip over. So, and then the bottom, you can see a little upcycled. This was something my kids did. I think it was Snoopy actually. And then here are how the casters. These are some cheap ones from Amazon. I think they're like $15 for a 4-pack. These swivel and they lock. Never locked them. I don't usually lock them, but these haven't extended. I did another 3/4 inch piece of wood. So I could use longer screws in here so that it really bites in. So 3/4 plus 3/4 on those. Each of those has 4 screws in there, some washers as needed. And then, hey look, Snoopy. But yeah, that's about it for the size and dimensions. So let's get the shop vac on here and we'll show you how it fits into here. Let's see if we can do this without knocking it off the workbench. I'm sure that would be great entertainment though. You know what? Locking casters. First time I ever used them. All right, so that fits in there nicely, but measure yours. What I ended up doing was I just took a board and I put it on the top part of this, and then I took my tape measure, and then I figured out how much the riser needed to be. It was as simple as that. You know, obviously minus your pieces as you need to. So this sits up on here, and one thing to note about this, so like our shop vac, like most shop vacs, they have those casters that are on here, which are absolute garbage. I don't know if you ever dragged one the wrong way and you flattened one to the sides of the wheels. It never rolls the same again, and you kind of think about it every time you try to move it around. So we ripped those off. That actually, you know, made the height a little bit lower as well, because they usually are down, so there's clearance. So that helps with kind of the height if you need to as well. It actually made it perfect when we connect the tube. I'll show you that on the ground because it's, you know, way up there. So, all right, now we've got it on the ground. Let's get the bucket on here and we'll attach it, get the hoses hooked up, and show you how it works out. So we've got our bucket with our Dustopper Pro on here. Orient the hose or the inlet here. It's all connected. Those are lined up. And then this is that bungee cord trick that I talked about. So this is a, I don't even know, 24-inch one, maybe a little bigger, 36-inch bungee cord. This was from like Harbor Freight or something like that, or maybe it was Ocean State. Anyways, it was a couple bucks. You can find these cheap. What I did is I drilled a hole here, because each of these has like a little hook thing, so I can go into the hook. And then I have one on the opposite corner in the back here that it goes into. So it'll go in diagonally across. So leave that here for a second. This was the hose that we talked about before with the 90s. And that one goes up, sorry, into the top here. And then this worked out perfect. goes down here into the bottom. That connects in there. And you can see it's all nice. There's not a kink or anything like that. This is where you want to be careful and make sure. So if this ends up being shorter here, you may end up needing an extension piece in between the elbow here and where this comes into it. So you may need to build a little bit of an adapter there, some PVC pipe or something like that. So this worked out perfect for ours. Hopefully it works out perfect for yours, or there's extra room. So I think keeping it nice and taut is the way to go. And then now that we have this on here, our bungee cord goes into the hole there, scoops up, we wrap it around once, and then we come over and we go into the other hole, and that just slides in there, and then push it down, and that's it. So this angular is kind of like pulling it down. That's worked out really good. Like that doesn't come off. Even when you like pull on it, like it'll settle back into there. So that works out good. Then we take our standard hose that we use, and this will go into the input on that part. And then what we end up doing when we're not using it is just do that and stores it. So then when we need it, bring it out, grab it, do whatever we need to do, throw it out. Everything's accessible. You can use the switch, plugs in, wraps the cord. So everything fits in nice. This is total guess here is about 50 inches tall. So if that's a factor that you need to worry about, but it doesn't take up too much beyond that. And it moves really easily. I've got, again, those smaller casters. If you do have like a garage that has like pits in it or something like that, or your floor is not even, you definitely want to upgrade to like a 3-inch or bigger caster. You probably already know this, but that'll help with kind of like going over that unevenness. I'm fortunate to have a very flat surface here, and I can kind of move things on. Having things on wheels in your small shop is, you know, the rule that everybody talks about. So, and especially for this dust card. So let's get on to the next one and the last one, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, on to the last and final step here. And we've got this all set, everything's organized, but what do we do with all the accessories? We have multiple hoses. What do we do with it? What I ended up doing, I 3D printed this super simple attachment here. So the things that I use all the time are what I actually bring up to the top and use. So these accessories I use often, nice and tall. Those just slip on there, and those are available. I can just grab them as I need to, throw them back on there, out of the way. And then I have on the back, like I said, I use this like soft bristle one for like cleaning surfaces. I have another one there that I have on the back side. And then the rest of them, my shop vac has this little pouch in the back. Take this out for a second. And then I just throw the rest of them in there. So everything's always in the same place. Like, you want to know where things are. Things that are relative to my shop vac, I know are always here. So, and then the other cool thing is this accessory that I built. I don't know if you can see it. It's basically the cord wrap holder. So, you know, we try to figure out how to wrap them around there. We want to make sure we have this accessible so we can pull it out whatever length we want. But this actually is just 2 pieces of scrap plywood in there, another piece of plywood that's the same width as the box. They're all screwed into the box, and then I can just wrap, you know, my cord here. A nice big, easy. I don't have to bend over, do whatever I need to. So usually what I do is I'll set it at a relatively short length, because I usually keep it kind of plugged in over there, and then because the hoses are so long and I have a small shop, it's easy. So I'll usually have a piece like that that'll just go up to the plug, and then if I need to, you know, extend it, just pop off a couple, easily keep it wrapped up. That way you don't have like the cords all over the place, catching underneath the wheels. That's the other problem with shop vac. So this has been awesome. And then the last item on here, I said before, is called a side cart, or what I'm calling a side cart, like on a motorcycle or something like that. This is when I'm actually using the tools. Like, I find that when you have them connected, tethered to like a hose, they want to pull back towards this. So what I end up doing is I'll try to put it down on the surface here, but then it kind of pulls, and then the tool kind of pulls, and I'm always afraid that this is going to drop on the ground. So what I recently did was added this in here, and this is fitted for, you know, this is same width again, about 11 3/4 by 10 1/4. But I just took some scrap and I really modeled it off of this. With just a little bit of room, I can now take my track saw and throw it on there when I'm like in between cuts. That's the biggest thing, is like you make a cut, then you got to readjust the track and all that stuff. Or if I'm using another tool, so that's that one. Or if I'm using my router, I've got the hose hooked up. I can just throw it down right here and have the hoses. It's just right there. I don't have to worry about this dropping on the ground. Same thing with my sander. Like that one is, again, another thing. It's kind of top heavy, or especially when you hook up a hose. Sits on there, works great. Let me just show you that real quick. So what I end up doing if I'm using the other hose is I'll just put this off to the side like that. And this was that expandable one that I showed before. Switch it out. And then if I'm having, you know, if I'm working on a project like this, I'll have it over here. You know, I'll do my, whatever my routing is. Obviously I'm not doing anything right now. And then in between cuts, you know, just throw it over there, change whatever I need to do. Same thing with that. This works great. So sidecar for the win. Definitely recommend this little add-on here. It's amazing. Then when we're done with the flex system, like we showed before, undo it, put your tool off to the side, and then the nice thing about this is you hook this back up. So that's ready to go, clips in, and then I use the sidecar because this is usually with the tools that I'm using. So this actually will just kind of wrap around. Go back up here. Let's see here. And then just clips into itself, and I just kind of store it like that. So then I can, you know, go back to using my shop vac as I wanted before. So that's awesome. Everything's in one place. And just like that, we've transformed our underperforming shop vac into an ultimate sucking machine in a good way. It also blows, I think, too. Anyways, we upgraded first the Cyclone, added a Cyclone separator, get 99% of those chips in there. We added in that Dustopper to do that. We added in that bag in here to collect that small 1% of that fine dust that went in here, and we upgraded our filter. You probably may not need to do that if you already have one or you've done it recently. Just something to consider. And then from there, we added our hoses. Those are definitely bonuses. They worked really well, the longer hose and having the flex system that's from the Rockler Dust Right, and having it available to click into all of our tools. That's been great with the sidecar. I think I've said it both ways. And then obviously the cart. This is the thing that ties it all together. It keeps it organized, gets everything in one place. So after going through all those steps in our accessory holders and the little things that we've added, it's good to go. This has really saved a huge amount of time in our small workshop. This is only 5 ideas that we had to improve our shop vac cart and our dust collection in our small workshop. I would love to hear what your ideas are that may have been from watching this or things that you've experienced. Leave them down in the comments and let's chat about them. And then if you like this content, obviously if you want to subscribe and see more, we do more workshop videos coming up. And if you liked that one, you may check out this next video that is similar. And we hope to see you again in the workshop soon. Take care. We're up here on our shop vac cart. Well, this was only 5 ideas for our shop vac cart. Well, this was only 5 ideas that we had for our shop cart vac. Well, this was only 5 ideas that we had for our shop cart vac. Oh yeah. Feel the burn. Woo! Leg day today. Yeah.